up your engine! Well, bad news for you Bronco fans. Turns out that the Ford Bronco is delayed and it's not going to come until summer of next year. It's supposed to be in the spring, but they're having production problems. So the 2021 Ford Bronco SUV is going to be delayed till later in the summer, they say. And the Sasquatch Special Off-Road one with the manual transmission is going to be delayed until 2022 model, they say. That's the one with 35-inch tires, locking front and rear differentials, the real off-road one. Now, this doesn't cover the Bronco Sport, the little one, which is available now. Let's hope this doesn't end up like the Ford Thunderbird did. From 1955 to 1977, Ford made Thunderbirds. They stopped making them. 2002, they brought it back, but it only lasted to 2005, and they got rid of them because they pushed it. The date was late. Thunderbird, when it came back the second time, they had all kinds of quality control problems. The cars were basically garbage. Customers of mine with one. The engines went out. The transmissions went out. Let's hope the Bronco doesn't go the same way. It was built for a long time, like the original Thunderbird, and now they're bringing back. Let's hope Ford learned from their Thunderbird mistake and that they don't rush it too much and the quality control isn't there. Time will show. You won't know until people buy them and drive them around, but that second generation Thunderbird only lasted for 3 years and that was it for that. So let's hope they do a better job in a Bronco that they did on the Thunderbird. Well, it's happening. Could this be the beginning of the end? GM's Cruise, not their cruise car, this pile of junk, that's their electronic division, is now deploying fully driverless cars in San Francisco. Well, it figures they do it in San Francisco, right? They're putting out vehicles that have no drivers in them because they want to get a robotic taxi service going on. Now, this is 2 months after California gave permission for them to run fully driverless cars in California. They've done it before, but there were drivers behind the wheel in case something went wrong. These don't have drivers behind the wheel. But for the time being, they're having a passenger in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat, but the passenger seat. They're being remotely monitored from far away. So if something goes wrong, the guy looking at, just like drones, the guy's looking at the monitor, sees something wrong, he can stop the car or turn it. Now, California has also approved ride-hailing services that can pick up passengers in self-driving cars. But they're not trying that yet. They're allowed to, but they're pretty smart. They're not going to try it right now. That could be the end really fast if they wiped out a few people. So they will be driving around with people in a car, only it'll be in a passenger seat. And then they say they're going to move them to the back seat. They're not letting them go out all by themselves just yet. Now, Waymo, which is a spin-off from a Google project, they also have the right to have driverless cars in California, but they haven't said yet when they're going to do it. They're probably going to watch and see what happens with this company first. So if you're in San Francisco, I guess there's going to be 5 of them driving around. So you see these crazy little cars with white and a red stripe on the back that says Cruise. You know that thing is driving itself around. I'm sure there's some jokers out there on skateboards that are going to try some fast ones just to see what happens. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens in San Francisco with the driverless cars. After all, they are a GM product, so who knows? The cars might just break and then you don't have to worry about them hitting anything. Bo Vlert says, Scotty, I got an '08 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 190,000 miles. When I come to a moderately hard stop, there's a clunk. I let go of the brakes. It seems to come from the mirror. What could it be? Well, let's pray it's your brakes. Pull the wheels off. See if anything's worn, if they're loose, any springs are gone, or the bearing's a little bit wobbly and it's making a noise. Because from my experience with the Silverados with 190,000 miles, it's almost always the rear end, the differential in the back, and they cost a fortune. Hardly anybody knows how to rebuild them correctly anymore. The guys that I used to use in Houston, they went out of business years ago. You have to buy a new one. They cost a small fortune. You try a junkyard one. They all wear out. You probably get a bad one then. I had a guy tried used ones. He went through 6 of them before he found a good one. So you want to pray it's not that, but it probably is. Now, if you watch my video, Finding the Source of Car Noise of Scotty on YouTube, you'll see I used the sound machine with headphones and I could pinpoint it and I would just put one in one part, one of the sending units and the other right on the differential. And if that noise came from the differential, when I click to the number 2 on my sound machine and that's on the differential and I hear it, I know it was the differential. Now you can also pray, maybe you got a bad universal joint on the drive shaft. That's easy to check. You just crawl under there, put it in neutral and grab the drive shaft. If you can turn it with your hand and the back goes clunka clunka, you'll see the joint's worn. Pray it's just a worn universal joint. Jabram says, which of these Mobil 1 oils do you recommend? The 5W20 synthetic engine oil, the 5W20 extended performance, or the 5W20 20 synthetic high mileage oil. They're trying to confuse it by adding more and more different types of oil, and of course, each layer costs more than the other. Synthetic oil is an excellent oil. If you're using synthetic oil, you can use any of those. I would just get the regular one myself, or I would go to Walmart and find out what the lowest price synthetic oil is and buy that. They're all excellent oils. This, high mileage stuff, they have a little bit different additives and stuff in them, but, the jury's out. Does it actually do anything? The main thing is to change it regularly and have the oil clean. Don't go by this nonsense. Some of them say, you can change it every 20,000 miles. You still want to change the oil every 5,000, 6,000 miles. Some guys will push it to 10 with synthetic. Go ahead if you want, but hey, oil is a lot cheaper than an engine. And as you mentioned, those things for all the oil you need for your whole engine, it's either going to cost you $28 for the whole 4 or 5 quarts you're buying to $32. So the $28 stuff's perfectly fine. But like I say, Walmart has their own brand of synthetic oil. It's a good synthetic oil. It's probably even cheaper. Go ahead and use that. If you change it every 5, 6, 7,000 miles, you're not going to have any problems either way. And there's no miracle. If you got a worn out engine and you put the most expensive oil in it, it ain't gonna make any difference. It's still gonna burn it. It's still gonna wear out. It's not a miracle. It's just lubrication, and you want to keep it clean. German car says, what do I do? My car's timing belt broke. It won't start. It made a weird noise. A few days ago I tried to start it. It made a different noise, but it just cranks. Sounds a little bit different. It won't start. First thing you got to figure out is you didn't give the information. Maybe send another email giving more information. What is your year, make, an engine in? If, let's say, it was a Toyota, almost every Toyota ever made had a non-interference engine with the timing belt. You just take it apart and get a book like Chilton's or Climbers or All Data DIY online, follow the directions, replace the timing belt. It wouldn't do any damage. But if you had like an Infiniti, Volkswagen, lots of cars have interference engines with timing belts. Then when that belt breaks, the pistons hit the valves and you can say goodbye engine. So first thing you want to do is find out what kind of engine. Just send another email. Give the year, make, model, engine size, and I'll tell you, is it an interference engine or not? If it's an interference engine, pretty much give up. Either put another engine in or give up on a car if it's got a ton of mileage. And if it's a timing belt, it's probably pretty old because most modern cars use chains. Modern engines have a lot higher tolerances and the belts wouldn't last that long, so most of them have gone to chains, which is a better idea in the first place because the chain is lubricated with your engine oil, and generally, if they're made right, they can last forever. Connor Lux Car said, after driving my family work van as my first vehicle, 99 Chevy Astro van, I'm getting ready to sell it. I'm listing it for $7,000. Would an '04 Lincoln Town Car with 72,000 miles be a good idea? Well, yeah, it would be. That's the Panther platform. They're strong. If you don't mind the gas mileage that they get, they're okay on the highway. They're kind of gas hoggy in town. And you might not be driving that many miles. You might not care all that much. Man, you're going to be the luckiest man on the planet if you can get $7,000 for a 22-year-old Chevy Astro van. Now, if it's in really good shape and you live like in California or Hawaii where cars go real expensive, yeah, maybe you could. But in Texas, I could find people buying those vans all day long. They buy them for, $2,000 at max. So good luck on selling that. But yeah, the Lincoln Town Car, if it really only has 72,000 miles, could still be a really good vehicle. They're not making them anymore, but they were solid built vehicles. Everybody's going smaller. And that's why they stopped making the big ones, gas mileage and stuff like that. Plus, it's cheaper to make a small car. There's less metal. Gordoff says, I got an '01 Honda Odyssey with only 50,000 miles. It's in beautiful shape. I was going to sell it for $4,500. A guy comes and says, just as I thought, rusted out like the rest. I thought he was trying to screw me over, but I looked down and part of the frame is rusted out and crumbling. My minivan, I put new brakes, new tires, and a battery. There's rear chassis rusted on. I don't know what to do. If you went into the past and had a time machine, you could have listened to Scotty and not bought it in the first place. Honda Odyssey vans have had lots of problems. Their automatic transmissions broke all the time. They had cam problems in the engine. That one cam would wear out and wallow and rattle, and you have to rebuild the engine. Well, rusting's also another one. I personally didn't have to deal with that much because I was in Houston, Texas. Cars don't rust that much there. I didn't get the rusted ones except the ones that moved down from Detroit and Buffalo into Houston, and yeah, they rotted away like that. You're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You said this guy's offering you $1,500 because he said it's going to cost $3,000 to do the frame over, which is true. If you did the whole frame over, you had to take the whole vehicle off body and everything, put a new frame, put it back together again, which really wouldn't be worth doing. Or you could just drive it until the wheels fall off. Generally, since they're front-wheel drive vehicles, vehicles, if the back frame is rotting away a little, a lot of times you can get guys to weld big pieces of steel back there like I did in my son's Tacoma that was rusted out. And that was 5-6 years ago, and it's still driving down the road. So you might either learn how to weld or find a welder who's willing to weld cover plates on it and then keep driving it. Because, I mean, you put all your money into it, you're only going to get $1,500. Why not put a little welding on and then drive it till the wheels fall off and then never buy another Honda Odyssey? So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.